Hey,
Ayo, ayo.
happy Monday. Hopefully a
Woo.
happier weekend. Thank you guys for joining us. As always,
Mhm.
before I switched over my camera to the one I'm using here, my phone, took one last look at the fantasy situation. It ain't good.
Not looking
So,
too good, huh? Tough look for your boy.
tough look for all my boys. I think it's slipping through my fingers in both of my money leagues because I think
Ooh.
Scraby just got me with his combination of Godwin, Woods, who had a huge game, and Fournette, who didn't have a huge game but had a
Got a
touchdown, which is huge in
touchdown.
fantasy.
Yep.
But alas, we are here. We will power through in the face of all that. But
Mm-hmm.
try to get the banner up there on the screen for you. Tyler, how was your weekend?
Wasn't too bad. Just did did a little yard work, a little work around the house this weekend. I should say on Saturday. Sunday, got to help out my boy Gozer. Congratulations, good friend of the show, Gozer. Had his wife delivered a beautiful baby girl this weekend, so I was
Shout out to the Goes Dog, friend of the program, former guest.
yes, so I was kind of house sitting, dog sitting for him because they were in the hospital until I believe earlier this morning. Uh, but got to watch a lot of football on Sunday because of that. So all in all, good week. Ronnie, how was your weekend?
It was good. Again, a lot of football. I did have to work on Saturday, so cut into my college football time. But all day NFL was just kind of bumming around the house yesterday. Got to see pretty much everything on Red Zone. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
the Sunday night game with my beloved Raiders,
Mm-hmm.
which we will get into all that. But good weekend. No, not too bad of a day at work. So had higher hopes for this Monday night game as far as at least winning one of my money leagues in fantasy, but alas, it was not to be. And circling back to that first comment, shout out to Callan. Good evening to you as well, sir. Checking in. Always welcome on the program. A couple things just that don't really fill up the time that, football, and then we'll get into the fight game stuff. We'll take up mostly really just NBA free agency. A lot of moves going on right now. This honestly, so Hayward going to the Hornets, $120
Hornets.
million.
Woo.
Hey, if that's what you want, Hornets, all right, MJ, do you, boo. Look, still a good player, but I don't know, if him and LaMelo makes for a great team and that kind of money. Honestly, I thought the Celtics' best move of the entire offseason was Hayward not signing the player option for $34 million because
True.
can he even stay healthy at this point for a whole season? Yes, when he's out there, he contributes quite a bit. But, hey, good luck with that, Hornets. That's kind of head scratcher to me, but I'm guessing when he maybe already had some inclinations that when he turned down that option that there was going to be equivalent money out there for him. Turns
Mm-hmm.
out that there was. So there's that. I got to give also a shout out to my Lakers, just kind of
Signing
taking care of
everybody.
business, moving pieces in and out. They got Montrez. They also today, right? They got Gasol. I believe that's about to be finalized. Mark
I
Gasol.
think, yeah, I think that was today. Yeah.
So I am a little sort of hesitant on Gasol. He didn't look really great in the bubble comeback for the NBA. He looked sort of showing his age, but he does have unique skills for someone that big, especially when it comes to passing. And Tyler and I were talking about this before the show. AD really does not ever want to play the five, especially from a physical standpoint. We've seen him get hurt not playing the five, leaving games, coming back in, missing stretches for periods at a time. So as far as him and Montrez goes, yes, Montrez Harrell could play the five. He's kind of more of a physical four, but Gasol gives you a guy that's clearly just going to play the five. And, from the free throw line area, free throw line extended, or the elbow, a very nice passer. So I think he fits in well there. And I think they've made, the right moves within what they're capable of doing this offseason. And just one last cool one that came out over the weekend. Shout out to Fred VanVleet. Got
Yeah.
that got the extension, the highest total contract value for any undrafted player in NBA history, and well deserved. I mean, this guy's a
Absolutely.
hard worker. I think he's still, on the rise. He's probably, I want to say he was like 18, 19 points a game last season. Definitely the best player on that team now that Kawhi is not there. So, always just a good story to see someone like that who's just, worked their ass off to get there, undrafted, and now he's cashing in on that with the big payday. So shout out to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously glad to see that, like you said, he's definitely since Kawhi's gone, he kind of is the face of the team now, the leader of the team. So it's good to see him making that money. Back to your Lakers. I said this to you before the show, and I actually said this to a good friend of the show, Daniel Vasquez, as well. We were texting a little bit earlier. He's obviously noted Lakers fan. It just honestly, it feels like Rob Pelinka's like, okay, LeBron's probably not going to play the first month or two of the year, so let's just sign anybody we can, so that way we don't fall too far behind until he decides to come back. Look, they're making so many good signings this offseason. It's been it's just a continued wealth of riches for a storied franchise.
Hey, I'll take it. I think,
of course, you will.
It's not, there's only so much you can do with the contracts they already have there. And we talked about it on previous shows. When you have LeBron and AD there.
You don't have AD. You don't have AD right now.
Well, but it's all again.
It's probably a formality. I agree, but you don't have him yet.
That's just so he can get paid more money, which I think everyone and the Lakers were all expecting. But
sure,
you are still going to have the we're getting down a month left to the playoffs. Like guys that maybe get waived off their team, veteran guys that have been in the playoffs. They'll probably go maybe take a flyer and just go play for the Lakers. So you're always going to have those guys that fall in there. But no, I think they've made the right move so far. Let's check in with the comments. Cease, check it in. Tyler rocking the stocking cap. What is it? 64 degrees in Bakersfield.
Actually, Cease, what it is I'm entering a Zach Brown lookalike contest from the Zach Brown bands, and he's always rocking that. So that's what I'm going for.
Let the beard go a little bit more. Keep the hat on. I see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then got Callan again. Hayward not signing had to have cleared enough salary for Tatum's contract. Yeah, I mean everyone knew Tatum was going to get maxed out. There's really for players like that anymore. I feel like there's no one that will not get maxed out. If the team wants to keep you, what are they just going to mess around and waste time offering you anything less than the max?
Right.
I mean, didn't the Kings max out Fox, I believe?
So, yeah, it's the contract is kind of like a potential for max. I mean, it's basically a max contract for him. Look, the Kings had to do that because, as a Kings fan, I think Fox is worth it. Plus, you're going to build the team around him. And B, let's not kid ourselves. People aren't flocking to go play in Sacramento. So Sacramento's going to have to open up the bank when they sign anybody. So, yeah, Fox getting the max deal, I'm good with it. No issues there.
And I'm good with that, too. I mean, I'm not a Kings fan, but that is the right move. Keep guys that you want to have there. Do not let them just break away. But to that note, as far as, the whole max thing goes, obviously Tatum's going to get a Fox could be there one day, but if Fox is potentially getting maxed out, obviously Tatum's going to get maxed out. There's
for sure.
That's just how it is in the NBA now. As far as the comparison goes, anyone that is one of the best players on their team coming off their rookie deal or whatever is well, if that guy's maxed out, I'm definitely worth a max. So let's just do it. And again, Cal and I honestly think that was probably the best move of the entire Celtics offseason was not having Hayward sign that option because it does give more flexibility. And I don't think, even if you played a whole season, I don't necessarily think that's a piece that's going to put them over the top. And that's a very big if he plays a whole season. So enjoy Hornets that you got your guy, but that was a little strange to me. Nick coming in, are you content with Dwight Howard being traded to the Sixers? Yes, he actually was very valuable after he came back to the Lakers because he wasn't really asked to score at all. So any points you got out of him was a bonus. And then you were just rotating in, him and JaVale, also now gone, being traded to the Cavs. But just physical, rim protector guys that can eat up rebounds and block shots. It was funny, of course, had to be in total Dwight fashion that he tweeted out, staying with the Lakers. This is where I want to be.
And then 20 minutes later.
And then going to the Sixers. There's
that
always
was great.
the Dwight Howard touch to everything that he does.
Yep.
And Barron checking in. Anthony not signed yet? Yes, but I mean, I think the writing's on the wall there. Jordan Spurgeon checking in. Shout out to Jordan. Van Vliet, the GOAT. Well, I don't know, but the GOAT undrafted.
In Toronto. In Toronto, he is right now.
Contract-wise.
Yeah.
Cease is also happy for Vanderpump. I think that's a different guy or girl. But yes, I echo that sentiment. And Brad does like the concept that you were putting out there. They're signing all the Lakers that they need to not play with LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple more from Callan. Safe to say the Lakers are also trying to maneuver the pieces around for post-life LeBron. I agree. Something Cleveland and Miami were not able to do right away.
That's true.
As far as LeBron goes, that I don't think really has any impact on him. But yes, as far as the Lakers go, AD is going to have to take over the mantle at some point and be the centerpiece, even if that's a year or two of LeBron's twilight, and he retires or leaves or goes somewhere else, maybe even to play with Bronny. Who knows? That's been talked about a lot. He has thrown that out there that he does want to play with his son in the NBA at some point.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But I think the Lakers are making, so far, the best moves they can make given the current circumstances.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So let's get into the football. We'll get into the sad note about Maction coming up here. But let's start in the college ranks.
Okay.
Again, another busy week as far as cancellations, rescheduling, and still some top 25 games out there. Tyler, our college football insider, I'll let you tee us off on this one.
Yeah, so the big game this past weekend was the Saturday morning game between the number 9 ranked Indiana Hoosiers and the number 2 or 3, I can't remember, Ohio State Buckeyes. First
21-point favorite Buckeyes.
21-point favorite. Ohio came out strong. Fields didn't have that great of a game, but the rest of the team kind of picked him up. The defense made some plays. The running game kind of stepped into it. But then in the second half, man, Indiana came out. Look, we've been saying it. Tom Allen, he's got these guys playing. Like this isn't a fluke. Indiana is a really good team.
They don't lay down. No, I agree. Tyler's been calling this for weeks already. Like, they play their ass off. And especially considering the way that first half went for them, you'd see it all very easily. A college team just like, sort of folding up right there. But they did the absolute opposite of that. And towards the end there, actually, they definitely had Ohio State sweating a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they just unleashed the passing game, which, Ohio's biggest issue this year has been their secondary. The secondary's been kind of weak, especially in second half games. I did see a stat that they've actually been outscored in the second half of all their games this year. In fact, Nebraska was the only team they did outscore in a game of the second half. So, Indiana threw for dang near 500 yards. I know they had Ty Freifogel had 200-plus yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. They came out, they made a game. Ohio hangs on, gets the win. Honestly, probably the toughest game they have the rest of the year on schedule. Indiana, don't be surprised if they run the table the rest of the way. Like I said, it was, I think 500 yards for Penix was their quarterback. Just absolutely just awesome performance from Indiana. Just didn't – they fell too far behind at the beginning. Ohio comes out, gets the win, so they roll on. A couple other Big Ten games of note. Number 19 ranked Northwestern beat number 10 ranked Wisconsin 17-7. Not the most exciting game there. Obviously, not a good look for Wisconsin, who's they just couldn't afford a loss this year. Now it's looking postseason probably out the window, especially with they've already missed a couple games this year. Northwestern continued to roll on, just kind of quietly having a nice undefeated season.
Yeah, I would, that under the radar thing kind of goes away at this point, just because where they stand right now, 5-0, right on the outside of the top 10. Sorry to Will, because I know this was implications on your parlay.
Oh, no.
I already told Will that I will remove the Wisconsin Badgers. I add them to the list of never touch them, right alongside the Steelers when it comes to parlays.
Yeah.
But speaking of Will, too, he did have a comment for his boy at Indiana,
Oh,
Penix.
Penix, there we go.
Shout out. And Callan also. Not the same old Hoosiers on the football field. Props to UI. I agree. They really got a nice direction going there in that program.
Absolutely. Just a couple other games in the Big Ten just wanted to mention, mostly kind of for an idea that you and I just kind of jokingly kind of made this idea via text, and I think we're kind of both really into it for this upcoming week. But Penn State loses to Iowa, so they fall to 0-5 on the year. Michigan with a 3 overtime thriller against Rutgers. Can't believe I've ever had to utter those words.
You have to say the words.
Hey, look, you know what? Michigan found their quarterback this weekend, Cade McNamara. Just as soon as he came in, it was obvious he was better than Joe Milton. He came in and balled out. Hassan Haskins had a nice running game, I think 125 yards, a touchdown or two. So Michigan got the win, so that guarantees John Harbaugh's, job for another week. But we were kind of texting back and forth. We kind of came to the idea that, to drum up interest in that game for this upcoming weekend between Penn State and Michigan, they should have a stipulation where the loser has to pay for the buyout of the winning team's coach's contract.
Or just some of it. Like put up $5 million of your buyout. I know Franklin's is quite a bit more, $37 million, depending on the breaks and the insurance and all the payouts and stuff. But both guys are, teetering at their respective schools. Franklin probably a little more safe because of the outrageous buyout. But can you imagine maybe the most entertaining football game you've ever seen in your life if they put this kind of money up at the beginning? $5 million. Other ones got to just throw it to the other ones. Well, not even the buyout. Just when they get bought out, that $5 million goes to the other guy.
Right.
So I love this scenario. I feel like, look, we got to spice it up. There's not a lot going on, to say the least. Michigan and Penn State these days.
Yeah.
So let's draw up the ratings. Let's make this happen, please.
Definitely. And then just a couple other games I wanted to make note of. It was really weird seeing a noon game on CBS, and it was a Mountain West Conference game. That was the Nevada SDSU, which had a weird ending. Not sure what SDSU's quarterback was doing. If you didn't see it, basically it was a fourth down play where he just threw the ball out of bounds.
Where you are not getting the ball back because
you're not getting the ball back. Yeah,
40 seconds left in the game, whatever it was. So that, I was able to get home from work in time to turn that on, just in time to see that, and that was a head scratcher. I don't know. Like I was telling Tyler, I believe they did have a huddle before that play, but if you're the quarterback, I don't know how you can leave that huddle not knowing, like, I am going to force this to someone in bounds, or I'm going to just take off and run with it and get killed.
Yeah.
But throwing it 10 yards out of the side of the end zone gets you literally nothing. So that was, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, really weird play. I believe actually Nevada's, were they undefeated or did they have one loss? I can't recall. But anyway, it was interesting to see a Mountain West game on a Saturday afternoon that wasn't a bowl game. Also, got to give a shout out to Hawaii and Boise State, only because it kicked off at 8 p.m., so I was up late watching college football.
Oh, yes.
Love it. Fucking love it. And in some sad news, Ronnie touched on it at the beginning of the show. And this was told to us by the commissioner of the conference before the season started. But unfortunately, we are out of MACtion for the year. There will be no more weekday MAC games outside of bowl season.
It's a dark time. It's a dark time as we slide into
when we need it most
into winter. But I don't know what I'm going to do on my Tuesday and Wednesdays. I really thought you should have just maybe gave this a little more time, Mac. Just think about it. You own ESPN for those nights. Mm-hmm. But do what you got to do. I'll get over it. But let's take a quick look at the top. Well, I got the 15 here. I just got to take the banner off the screen. Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson, no real movement there. BYU sitting at 8, Cincinnati at 7.
Oh, boy.
We'll touch on that BYU thing here in a second.
BYU.
The U in the top 10.
Yeah.
Northwestern right there, 11 and 12, Indiana as well. So shout out to, the lesser looked down upon teams in the Big Ten making their voices heard. Oklahoma did. It was bedlam this weekend, but I mean they beat the crap out of Oklahoma
They
State.
dominated that game. Yeah.
Kind of maybe even questions arise about our guy Mike Gundy. It just never can beat Oklahoma. Never really can win any. Seems like big games in the Big 12 when it really, really matters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of his program, but I don't know when you maybe move on from him. I mean, he's entertaining. He's got the mullet. He's a man. He's more than 40 now. That was
probably
like 15 years ago.
52, 53 now, yeah, something like that.
Come after me.
But so you mentioned BYU. They are in the news a little bit recently for actually, Ronnie, I think do we have a segment queued up for this?
We do have a little segment. Just want to we'll start with this. This was sent out 21st. Any team, anytime, any place. And as you know, BYU is undefeated. But
stealing that from Fresno State. Fresno State used to say that.
Yes, that's Pat Hill.
That's right.
We'll strap it on. We will go for it. But come to find out that there was maybe, well, you know what? There's a lot we don't know, but we're going to have to hit them with a walk in the bag. So apparently, allegedly, there was an offer on the table.
There's an asterisk on that anytime.
Go and play Washington for Washington to make up their game. BYU shut that down. There's a lot of moving parts of this. I mean, it's not a great look for BYU when you are out, undefeated, trying to be one of these like mid-major conference teams to get into maybe a playoff. It's a weird year, but moving parts of this include, as you can see there at the bottom from Mike, that UW has beaten BYU each of the last two seasons by a combined score of 80-26. And BYU has a couple of different things come out of there as it pertains to the safety protocols between the two leagues. And this one I do see as kind of realistic. They don't want to then agree to go play Washington just to have the Pac-12, as we've already seen a couple times this season. Maybe make Washington just play a different Pac-12 team that's available, and then BYU just sort of stuck looking, all right, well, now it's not going to happen. But just an awkward look for BYU to refuse this when you are trying to stake a claim here as being one of the top teams that no one's looking at. Like, well, you get some exposure here, but just kind of weird. Tyler, I saw this over the weekend, but I want to get your thoughts on this too.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't think it's just 100%, BYU was like, oh, well, when we said anybody, we didn't mean you guys.
Anybody. I mean, what does anybody mean, really?
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, we were looking at like Oregon State or,
exactly.
Somebody like that. But, partly it is due to, the Pac-12 does have stricter COVID testing standards than the BYU does as set forth. I don't know if BYU goes by a conference because I know they're an independent. I don't know if they adopted maybe another conference standards or what, but the Pac-12 is a stricter kind of COVID testing standard. Like you said, if this game was scheduled, the Pac-12 could just come in on as late as a Thursday and say, actually, you're going to play Utah this weekend because it's a conference game. And now BYU just, waste a week of practice, set up charter. They're going to have to cancel, all that good stuff. So, there is something to it. But at the same time, when you're a mid-major, you're already not going to get the respect when it comes, playoff and bowl time, just because everybody's going to say, well, you didn't play anybody. Now you have a chance to put somebody on your schedule, and you're like, no, we're not going to do it. There's probably something to what Mike says in this tweet where it's, they kind of wanted to see where they were in their schedule or in the standings before they scheduled this game. And again, also not looking good when you say anybody, anytime, anywhere, and the team that just beat the brakes off of you the last two seasons, you're like, no, we're not going to play you. No, we didn't need you.
I think that's the most awkward part about it.
Yeah, it's like I can understand some of the reasons behind it for BYU, but it's just a really, really bad look for them.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, the game's not going to happen, obviously, at this point, but
Yeah.
we'll see how that affects, I guess, the national reputation going forward there. A couple more in the comments as far as the college football. Again, back to Will. I'd rather step on a Lego piece in the dark than bet on Wisconsin.
Ooh.
Well, I hear you, bro,
Ooh.
because I'm not touching it. Callan, again, SDSU's game for the oil can against Fresno State
That's right.
is canceled due to COVID. Aztecs looking for another opponent to play. We'll see what happens with that. And then Jaime, yes, this is the most devastating news in the college football week. No action.
A dark
no
time.
midweek action.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more from Nick. The 305 chain.
305 chain.
Got that you.
There you go. But, the nice thing about this week, we're not going to get an action, but being that it's Thanksgiving, we are going to have the tradition of Friday, we're going to have games from 9 a.m. until probably 7 p.m. We'll touch a little bit more on that come Wednesday, but, we're still going to get some additional weekday action in college football this week.
Yeah. So all is not lost, but the MAC on those Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll be missed. You'll be missed.
You will be missed.
Some of the wildest Division I football you could ever watch.
Love it. But, absolutely love it.
Let's get into the professionals now over the NFL. So, start Philadelphia, Cleveland.
Oh, God.
Which, as I warned you, I knew this game was going to be dog shit, and it was.
Yeah, it was. It was bad.
Did get the win. Philadelphia retains first place, so everyone's happy, but also everyone's sad. I don't know. But that was a game that was played by professional football players.
It was an occurrence, yes.
Was an occurrence. More interestingly, let's go to the Falcons going to New Orleans. Taysom Hill, as we talked about getting the start, played pretty well. Threw the ball more than I thought he was going to throw it.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about it too on Saturday a little bit, just from a numbers standpoint. And Taysom Hill has been, obviously a gadget, gimmick, whatever guy that the Saints have used all over the place for the last few years. But they just extended his contract too. So I was kind of thinking about that as far as Peyton coming out saying he was going to start the game. I think they got Jameis for it was kind of like a show and prove, kind of like Cam's. It was $1 million. So when you got Taysom for $10-15 million, whatever he's signed to, if he looks okay in those practices, he's probably going to start because it's all right, we want to see where our investment's at. But he looked good. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, passing touchdown. Falcons offense just really looked pretty bad, but the Saints defense looked really good. So I guess you can look at that either way. But Taysom. Oh, I also saw that in some leagues, I don't know, NFL, Yahoo.
It was ESPN.
ESPN that Taysom Hill was able to play as a tight end. So some people just went insane.
Just double up on that quarterback there.
2 starting quarterbacks that were probably over 20 points each, or more in some cases. So interesting to see that. Washington keeping their hopes alive, beating the Bengals. The story of the game, obviously, Joe Burrow out for the season, which sucks. I mean, if you're the Bengals fan, it's obviously the only bright spot of the season so far.
Yeah.
I didn't know necessarily that he was going to just get knocked out for the season, but he was taking a lot of hits over the course of the season. And he has shown that he will not hesitate to put his head down and run for it too. And this what has been a great rookie season for him so far. He was on pace to just destroy the rookie passing record. But that is a bummer, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, torn ACL, torn MCL, plus some other structural damage in the knee. I mean, it was it wasn't good. They didn't show the replay right away. Red Zone kind of had to go back and show it themselves. But planted his foot in the ground to throw it, and it got rolled up on and bent the wrong way. And just right away you could see he was done. I mean, it was no question this wasn't something he's coming back later in the game from. So definitely big ups to him. Hopefully he can come back next year stronger and better because he's been a joy to watch. I've been telling people from his first game he's legit. You kind of always have that question of guys coming from college to pros are they going to work out? And it was just right away. It's oh no, this guy's really good. He's going to be awesome. And hopefully again he can get that healed up and come back stronger next year.
And for the Bengals too, the thing is when you go number 1 overall in the entire draft for a quarterback, you're taking a big chance. But I feel like this guy has shown like, okay, we got that spot covered. Like, yes, he's going to have to rehab, come back, whatever. But now it's on you guys to surround him with better players and just keep building it up.
Yep.
We have the Detroit-Carolina game. But
I will say this game was important to me because I wound up winning in our fantasy league. I beat Jeff by, I think, 4 points. Detroit's kicker never had a chance to give them points in the game. The only time he stepped on the field was for the opening kickoff of either the first or second half. So big shout out to Carolina. Thank you very much. I appreciate your service.
And light work for the Detroit kicker. So
yes,
he should be well rested going into the Thanksgiving game.
That's right.
Pittsburgh going to Jacksonville. Pittsburgh remains undefeated.
Yeah.
Really took care of business there. Not too much of a threat, really. Let's be honest. It's the Jaguars. They did look punchy last week in Green Bay. But, again, we're on Jacksonville now's backup quarterback who now has a game on tape. You probably could have seen this coming a mile away. But even though I hate the Steelers, I will give props. This was, I wouldn't say a trap game, but definitely a game you could see them sort of sleepwalking through, but they just took care of what they had to do. Claypool, again, with the touchdown, too. This guy's just getting touchdowns for me in fantasy.
Yeah, 10 touchdowns this year. He's just been absolutely insane.
Still holding out hope that the Steelers do not go undefeated, but they seem to take care of their business. And then, going into a big divisional game on Thanksgiving against the Ravens, they're looking in good shape. Speaking of those Ravens, they fall to Tennessee in overtime. Derrick Henry with the walk-off touchdown.
Yeah, 29-yard touchdown run.
I believe also his second walk-off touchdown of the year. But
it's what he does. He gets stronger as the game goes on, and the defense just can't handle it anymore. They just pound you into submission.
And we talked about this on Friday as being a game that would be good. And, yes, you could see it went to overtime. It was good, but man, Baltimore really just can't get that one statement win. Like just beat someone that is good. You don't have to blow them out, but just like win convincingly. It just seems like they're really having a hard time anytime they're behind in a game coming back. I don't know if that's, now Lamar's going to probably have to throw more or whatever it is, but they just can't really get that for a team that was so highly touted coming in. Just not very convincing yet. Like, I don't know what you're going to get from Baltimore.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know if it's the case that just teams have figured Lamar out. Like, when that first season came in and he was just kind of doing like the run option a lot, teams struggled until the Chargers figured out the defense shut him down. Then he went and improved the passing game and he tore it up last year. I don't know if teams have just figured it out. Now it's like Baltimore's got to come up with a plan C or what, but yeah, it's not looking good, man. They don't have that convincing win. I had them picked to win the Super Bowl this year, coming off of last season. So it's looking like they might get a playoff spot. They're kind of in the middle of a race right now for a wild card spot. They got to figure something out. They got to figure it out quick because the season is winding down.
Yeah, and then as we were just saying, you go into a short week. You're playing Pittsburgh, who is, as we know, undefeated. And
gotta focus on the Pittsburgh game.
Focus on the Pittsburgh game.
Enough of this Simba shit.
But yeah, really time to sort of scratch and claw and get it back together there in Baltimore in a quick turnaround. Houston at home against New England. This is probably the one that takes New England out of any kind of playoff contention. Losing this one. Houston didn't look great, but they did enough to win. Yeah, I mean, I just think most likely the end of an era. I think the Patriots probably been in the playoffs for like at least 10 years in a row, something like that. So, look, I'm not sad about it, but it seemed like it was kind of their last gasp to stay relevant as far as that goes. And Houston gets the win there. Miami at Denver.
Shocking.
Very shocking. But Miami, look, I'm still not, writing them off or anything.
Oh,
but,
not at all. Not at all.
Just never really. I don't know. I mean, their defense is still good, and it does still feel like their special teams always makes a play. But yeah, Denver somehow gets that win. I'm still not at all a Drew Lock fan.
Well, it wasn't really Drew Lock that beat them. I think it was Denver's run game really showed up this week, and Miami just didn't have an answer for it. I think Denver was averaging like 5.7 yards per carry, something like that.
Yeah.
Tua had a rough game. In fact, in the fourth quarter, he got pulled. Yeah, they brought Tannehill back, and of course, or not Tannehill,
Fitzmagic,
excuse me. And of course, I think everybody in the world was pulling for him because it's like he shouldn't have lost the job to begin with. And unfortunately, came up. He led a nice rally, but unfortunately, they came up just short, snapping Miami's, I believe, 6-game win streak. Like I said, I don't think anybody's writing them off. They're still only 1 game behind in the division. I think they're sitting nicely in a playoff spot as well. It happens. They just have to compete. I think they'll bounce back this next week and right the ship here.
Yeah, that's a tough one for Miami though, with Buffalo not playing as well, where you can make up some ground there on them. But taking us into the Chargers-Jets game,
your game of the week, game of the week,
game of the week, and to be honest, we all know about the Chargers. We all know about the high wire act that they always are, and we know Herbert cut his hair, which. I didn't know how he's going to respond to that. He looked fine.
He balled out even better.
The Jets did get out to a 6-0 lead, and I was like, if you lose to the Jets, I swear to God.
All because of a blocked punt, which, yet again, the Chargers for like 15 years now have been the worst team on special teams. I don't know how they haven't figured it out. Special teams is not hard. I don't know how they haven't figured it out. But, it's a rough start, but again – like you said, Herbert balled out, threw for I think 360 yards, something like that.
A couple of those great throws too. I mean, really impressed by some of the long and touch throws that Herbert has made this season.
Yeah, so again, the offense did enough. They let up at the end, let the Jets back into it on a couple of deep passes, but they hold out and get the win. So your Jets winless bet is still alive.
$34 still on the table.
Woo!
This one was already over, so I'll just have to delete this one. But unfortunately, the Jets are officially eliminated from playoff contention with that loss.
They are.
Which
shocking.
I did see a stat today that by being eliminated in Week 11, I believe that's the earliest the Jets have ever been eliminated from playoff contention. So, unfortunate for the Jets, but hey, keep hope alive.
Trevor Lawrence is on the way, guys.
Let's finish this thing off. Go 0-16. Rest up, get Trevor, and we'll see. What happens from there.
There you go. Let's see what was next. Oh, Nick. Actually, this was a really good game too. Green Bay at Indianapolis going into overtime. Just kind of punch for punch. Two veteran quarterbacks just showing up. Although Jonathan Taylor did get some nice yardage for Indiana on the ground as well. But, this was kind of a fun game, just back and forth. And, of course, Indiana getting it done in overtime, kicking the game-winning field goal and getting the dub.
Yeah, and, again, another game, I think it was like the last 2 or 3 games that Green Bay has lost. They had leads in those games. And this was another one. They had a lead, lost it, really came out in the second half. Credit to the Colts. They really turned it up in the second half, and I think the Packers started the second half with 2 straight 3-and-outs, and the Colts just took care of business there, and then they get the overtime winner. So interesting there. Green Bay still has a nice position as far as the standings go.
Yeah, I think they still got a 2-game lead in the division.
And look, Indianapolis has played tough all year. Their defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
And you still got, Philly cheesesteak, as Ben calls him back there, slinging the rock. So he's looking pretty good. Dallas at Minnesota.
Oh, boy.
Kind of a shocker, but kind of not I don't know. Minnesota, you think, yes, they're at home. They are favored. Dallas, who knows what you're ever going to get with Dallas this season. But Dalton was back. He played pretty well. Vikings played okay, but it sort of felt like who's going to get the ball last and who's going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't like a terrible game. Also, shout out to CeeDee Lamb for probably the catch of the season so far on the touchdown there.
Well, it was either that. It was either that or the Thielen catch on the very next drive.
In the same game, yeah. Thielen
Yeah.
had a crazy one-handed catch where he got both feet in.
Yeah.
Shout out to my fantasy player Thielen,
Mm.
not CD, but that was a pretty sweet catch. And then, of course, we had the Sunday night game, which I'll have to leave the banner.
Real quick. We got to say, with Dallas winning, that puts the AFC East at Philadelphia in first at 3-6-1, and all three other teams at 3-7. So
it's wide open.
Shit, this division is insane, and I'm all here for it.
It's wide open, and I still think it maybe takes 6 wins to win.
6 wins, yeah.
So,
if any team can win 3 more the rest of the season, they will win the division.
It's a sprint to 3 more wins.
All right, continue.
To that point, Nick, NFC East, the most competitive.
No, you do not disrespect the MAC like that. You do not disrespect the MAC like that.
How dare you disparage?
No, I will not stand for that.
The MAC.
I will not stand for that.
Tyler's shutting that down. Sorry.
No.
And then we had the Sunday night game, actually a very entertaining game, even for the neutral fans out there. I was building a bed for most of this game, but got a king-size bed now.
Ooh, heck yeah. Moving on up.
Look, I honestly, there's no moral victories. You want the win.
Sure.
I'm satisfied. I thought the Raiders were really going to have a much harder time in this game, but offensively, they gave the Chiefs problems. Carr played really well. Probably his best game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They've both been against the Chiefs. So if he's going to be great against one team, I'm glad it's the Chiefs because they're not going away. Just kind of the classic, I think Mahomes might have too much time here. And we saw what happened. Went right down the field. It felt like it was just like 5 straight completions and a touchdown.
I think it was, yeah.
And I wasn't really upset about it. I was just like, oh, here goes Mahomes. Because, the Raiders really started trying to get after him blitz-wise. Mahomes can throw from any angle, running backwards, running across his body. Like, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So you really got to count on either guys sometimes just dropping the ball. It comes down to that. And the Raiders had some bad drops, too, at key points there in the third and fourth quarter. But they played better than I thought they would have, especially given any team in the NFL, it's hard to beat twice in a season. So I was very satisfied with the way they played, just coming up short. Carr was obviously just baffling the Chiefs defense with his it seemed like it was basketball night as far as the audibles go. I heard a couple of Mambas. I think there was a Michael Jordan. I believe there was a James Harden one, which Twitter ran wild on that. Everyone's saying, well, it's not going to be a pass if the play calls James Harden. But I did see that the check down earlier in the season, the Raiders and Derek Carr have been coming up with some interesting audible schemes for, week-to-week basis. And there's a little mixtape they put together, which I enjoyed. So I'll play that for you guys.
Clayton Kershaw. Cindy Gruden, Tiger Woods. Hey, Seattle. Lions. Clayton Kershaw. Hey, let's go Mickelson. Oscar, New York. Mark Davis, Boston.
Mark Davis, Boston.
He should be concerned about using Phil Mickelson because we all know if you call that, it's going to be a bomb. We all know this.
He's here to hit bombs.
That's it, yeah.
But, yeah, that's true. That's kind of like putting it all out there. Also, Cindy Gruden, Tiger Woods.
That was a
Who
good
knows
one.
what that play is. That's wild. But, I'm look, credit where credit's due. I have not been the biggest Derek Carr fan as a Raider fan, but he's looking a lot better this year. And him and Gruden seem to have some kind of connection going on right now where he's even throwing the ball down the field a little bit more now. It seemed like the early Gruden days, it was like, all right, very to the book, West Coast, like 6-yard pass, or everything to the outside, like kind of how the Rams, these are almost like running plays, just like almost lateral passes, and then we just spread the field out. But no, Carr looked good. I'm still, like I said, I'm satisfied. Raiders' schedule definitely eases up. In the, I guess would be like the last third of the season. So I'm encouraged. They're still very much in the hunt for that wild card spot. So I ain't mad at you. Good showing there, Raiders.
No, you should be. It was a good effort, and kind of like you said, that final drive. It's just, it was almost acceptance, and that's something that you and I and all the other people of the AFC West will have to get used to seeing for the next 12 years. But no, look, hell of performance by the Raiders, and I put it out to you. I believe that if the season ended today, these two teams would be meeting in the playoffs, and I'm all for that, especially because the game's in Kansas City, so the Raiders will be out there,
run it back.
Yep, doing donuts in the Arrowhead parking lot there.
Round 3. Hey, I'm down for it. They've played better against the Chiefs than probably any other team this season, and they seem pretty fired up. I don't know about Abram, dude. Abram, look. Abram is definitely like the classic guy at the bar who just came to fight.
For sure.
I believe he's entered 3 Raiders this season.
He's glassing somebody for sure.
He's going in there to glass somebody. You saw him getting a little busy out of bounds, pushing and shoving, getting in guys' faces. But as a whole team, I was just encouraged that it didn't seem like anyone was at all thinking about backing down from the Chiefs. That last drive, look, Mahomes is the best quarterback on earth right now. The Raiders defense, they got a couple up and coming bright spots, but it's not really anything that's top tier. So they did what they could. They played them tough. They beat them once, 1-1. If we get a third game, who knows? I'd like to see it.
Yeah, no, I'd be down to watch it. I think that would be a lot of fun, actually.
So that wraps up the NFL. I don't know if the Monday night game has gone final yet.
According to my phone, there's 1:43 left. Rams are up 27-24 with the ball.
Okay, well, I still lost to Scraby, so that's upsetting to me. But let's get into let's shift gears here, and we need to check in with the Fight Doctor. We had UFC 255 over the weekend, so let's dive into that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. The heavyweight champion of the world. It's time!
Yes, sir. UFC pay-per-view.
Yeah, so we did have a pay-per-view headline with 2 title fights this past weekend. It wasn't too bad of a card. Kind of like we said last week, if this was a fight night, one of the free fight nights on
fight night of the year, but you got to pay $80 for it.
It is. Yeah, it's a fight night of the year candidate. Instead, it was it was a decent show. Probably not worth the cost of a pay-per-view, but still a decent show and some interesting notes coming out of it here. So let's just start with the main event here. Davison Figueiredo defending his flyweight championship against Alex Perez. Lasted under 2 minutes, but man, in true flyweight fashion, it was just a fun 2 minutes. Just both guys flying around the ring, swinging hard. It ended with Perez going for a single leg takedown on Figueiredo. Figueiredo controversially grabbed the cage twice to keep his balance. Then when he went down, he grabbed Perez's leg, went for an ankle lock. Perez kind of then got out of it, dove down on Figueiredo. Figueiredo wound up getting into a guillotine choke and getting Perez to tap. Again, fun fight, 2 minutes, basically just a 2 minute sprint. And Figueiredo took so little damage that he is actually, they announced today that he will be headlining UFC 256, which is in just a couple weeks, where he will be defending his title against Brandon Moreno, who beat Brandon Royval by TKO on the prelim card in a fight that I was hoping would go longer. Royval's shoulder went out of the socket, and he was kind of done from there. So, but that fight.
I'm going to ask you, Fight Doctor, has this happened before? Where you are the title of consecutive pay-per-views?
It happened a long time ago. Tito Ortiz defended it on 2 consecutive pay-per-views, but they were spread out over a couple months.
Right.
This was back in Tito Ortiz's heyday when he was just ground and pounding everybody when he was light heavyweight champ. So it has happened before, but it was definitely not within a 3-week period.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. So then we got the co-main event here. Valentina Shevchenko defends her women's flyweight championship against Jennifer Maia. This was kind of one of those fights that I'd say if you watch it on mute because Joe Rogan was kind of making it seem a lot closer than it really was. Yeah. I mean, look, Maia did fine. I kind of expected Shevchenko to dominate. Shevchenko went with a weird strategy where she was seemingly insistent on taking Maia down, and that kind of wasn't really working out to her benefit. When they were standing on their feet, Shevchenko was just outclassing her. Kind of towards the end of the fight, she just abandoned the whole takedown thing and just decided to just work her on the feet. No real surprise again. Shevchenko winning by unanimous decision. Again, this is just, the problem with most of the women's divisions is you've got the champ and then you've got everybody else, and there's a massive gap. So, again, no big shock there. In fact, I think I saw there was somebody placed, I think Shevchenko was a minus 2,000 favorite. Somebody had placed a $120,000 bet on her and won $600. So,
hey, well, you got the $600.
Got $600. So then in the third fight there, we got, excuse me, Tim Means beating Mike Perry there by a unanimous decision. This was a pretty fun fight. Of course, Perry, as we talked about on Friday, came in overweight, so this was a catchweight bout. Perry got a dominant round one. Got the takedown, kind of stayed on top of Tim Means, even kind of went for a couple submissions, almost had a rear naked choke twice. But then after that, Tim Means just kept it on the feet and just absolutely outclassed him, just working the right jab and the left straight. Perry had no answer for it. Tim Means, kind of a journeyman fighter, been around a long time, good veteran. Wasn't too shocked that he beat Mike Perry. I know Mike Perry doesn't have the best record in his last, I think he's like 4-6 his last 10 fights, but Dana White said, hey, I want to keep him around because, people will tune in to watch him lose because they hate him so much.
Yeah. Fight game cuts both ways.
Look, Dana's a promoter. If it makes money, he'll do it. Like, let's not kid ourselves. So yeah, like those were kind of the three main fights. The other fights on the main card, I mean, they were right. Caitlin Chikagian getting the win over Calvillo. Not a very exciting fight in true Chikagian fashion. She's she'll just kind of pepper you to death. It's not very exciting. Mauricio Shogun Hua taking the TKO loss there. Another guy that we talk about this a lot. Unfortunately, there's a lot of guys in MMA where it's just like
hanging on.
Yeah, I mean, look, Shogun was fighting in the Pride days. That was, late 90s, early 2000s. Like, he's been around a long time. He's still decent. Like, he can go to, like, a Bellator or, maybe, like, Ryzen or One and, still get some wins. But, just not cutting it in the UFC and, kind of hopefully he can hang it up soon because it's just not – he's not the same Shogun.
Just taking the shine off of a great career.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, it was a fine card. Again, some decent undercard fights. Main card was fine enough. Looking forward to this weekend. This weekend we got America's Sweetheart, baby.
I'm just going to hit you.
My balls was hot.
Hit you with all of them.
Fuck what they talking about. USA in this whole. Most of the time, high as hell.
Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, coming in hot.
Right.
Love to see it. And also, for some reason, Roy Jones is going to fight Mike Tyson, I guess.
I actually had PG&E trying to offer me discounts to buy that fight when I was talking to them on the phone late last week, and I'm not paying anything for that fight. I don't even know if I'm going to. There's a lot of things that boxing does that I tell myself I won't watch, and then I do watch. This is one that I'm like, I really don't know if I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, is it even worth the malware, whatever you're going to get on your phone or computer, bootleg it? Entertainment purposes only.
Of course.
Watch it, but
of course,
I know I'm probably going to try to flip it on. Look, I'm just going to be honest, but this is more for the sideshow aspect of it. This never needed to happen.
No,
it shouldn't happen.
Even when they were both great fighters, this didn't need to happen.
No.
Now that they're just like long retired, it's like no.
Just no. But it's happening. So there's that.
So you might hear a recap from us on Monday, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it could. I don't know if it will turn out to be wildly entertaining, but there could be some entertaining things that we have to revisit on Monday. So it's out there.
But we'll have more for you about the fight night card this opening weekend on Friday. Again, Derek Lewis, our boy, America's sweetheart, going up against Curtis Blades. I'm concerned that it might be boring if Curtis Blades, because he's kind of like a lay and pray. He's got some knockouts on his record, but recently he's been more like a lay and pray. Like, I'm just going to take you down and then lay there until the ref says I have to move. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Derek can keep it on the feet and keep it exciting. Also for his heart and his conditioning. Hope it doesn't go the full 15 minutes.
Derek Lewis. What you know about them Texas boys? We hit. So he is going to swing until he's gassed out, which could be in the first round.
Which could be very quick, yes.
But that's my boy.
Love him.
That's
Absolutely.
my heart.
Absolutely.
Real quick shout out. I know we're getting up against time here. Shout out to the Hammers.
Woo! Getting the win.
Look, 1-0.
I'll take it.
Didn't look great, but they got some shots up, and they got the late winner. Chelsea with the 2-0 win. So that, gets a little more interesting going into next weekend's game, which we'll talk about on Friday. Tottenham with the 2-0 win over Man City.
Jaime called it. Jaime
did call it. Shout out to Jaime. He
called it, yeah.
Man City just having real problems scoring goals. For a team with that many good players, it's just, it's very surprising. I was listening
if they don't get the penalty, they will not score. That's just their thing.
Listening to TalkSport on the way to work on Saturday, and I believe the guy said they were like 17 goals off the pace of where they were last season at this time. So, 17 goals is a ton, but for Man City, not really. Like, you have godlike money, you have a superstar team.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm just holding out hope that they get Messi and Man U gets Ronaldo. And then we'll just figure out the rest from there. It would be great.
Oh, my God.
And Man U also squeaks out the 1-0 win.
Yep.
With, again, VAR.
A Bruno Fernandes penalty kick, yep.
VAR coming into play, as always. But hey, West Ham, 8th place, safely, dry in the middle.
Yeah.
Don't get too high, don't get too low. Just stay in the league.
That's the only thing I'm worried about is, like, they're kind of like, they're only, I think, 2 or 3 points away from like a Europa spot. I'm like, don't get my hopes up. Just stay right where you are. We're going to be okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
You can drop a couple spaces. I'm even okay with that.
Look, just hover. Just hover right there.
Yeah.
Europa League, it's a beautiful dream. If we get there, hey, I'm with it.
But there's no depth on this team, so it would just be a disaster.
But, hey, just get in there and then go play, a Tuesday game in Ukraine. It would be great.
Yeah, go play Astrogogo again and get knocked out in the first round for the 3rd time in a row.
And yes, Jaime, you did call it. Shout out to you. But we do need to get out of here in the interest of time. So thank you, as always, for joining us. I hope you guys had a good weekend and a great week to come. We'll be back with you on Wednesday at 7:30. That's all I got, Tyler. You want to get us out of here in style?
Yeah, just stick around. We got the book club for TV with Patrice coming up here. She'll be talking some new shows and some holiday-themed shows, so stick around for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. We love you. You know the drill. Keep the fire.
Keep that fire.